on Monday evenings around 5 o'clock, specifically centered on question and answer style categories. There's a lot of things that people ask me all the time in real estate transactions, things that are really important for people to know about that I think is something that a lot of people may think of asking but might be scared of asking their agent because they're just not sure how typical it is to ask those kinds of questions. So what I'd like to do is have anybody who watches this leave me some comments, let me know some questions you might have so I can do another show, or if you're watching live, you can also leave me questions as you're watching because I've got some great things that I want to talk about, and I want to make sure I'm getting as much information out to the public as possible to give you guys as much value as I can. I'm going to start off today with one question that I got recently from a buyer who was interested in taking a look at a property that's listed. Now, I was not the listing agent on this property, but I was their buyer's agent, so they gave me a call to set up a time and go take a look, and then gave me a call afterwards to ask me a specific question about the home. Now, this is something that has a lot of controversy and some things that some people understand one way, some people may interpret another way, but it's something that I wanted to kind of talk about today, and that was the fact that she knew that in the past, a friend of hers, her grandparents lived in that home. And they had a son who was living with them at one point in time who had actually committed suicide. And she did not know whether or not that person had committed suicide in the house or not. So that's not an atypical question. I've actually got questions like that before from other buyers about whether or not someone has died in the property. And in Indiana, that is what is constituted as a psychological impact on a property and is not necessarily something that's a material impact on the property. And what I mean by that is since it's a psychological impact, you can't say that there's any specific value determining impact on that. In Indiana, the statute exists, and I'll link to it in the comments below, or I'll add a PDF in the comments below. But in Indiana, psychologically impacted property is not anything that you have to disclose. And there's a lot of different things that constitute a psychological impact, but in Indiana, it's a really broad, whether or not anyone has died in the property. That could be natural death, it could be murder, that could be suicide. But under the Indiana code, that is not anything that an agent or an owner is legally required to answer. That comes as a shock to a lot of people because they think that's something that you have to answer for sure, while that's just not the case. In fact, though, if somebody knows for sure that someone did die in the property and you're asked directly, you cannot lie to that person, especially if the seller said, I don't want you to disclose the fact that somebody has died in the property. At that point in time, you can refuse to answer the question or say, I've been instructed not to answer that question. You just can't intentionally misrepresent that information. So I know that's one thing that psychological impacts, a lot of people don't know specifically how that works or how that doesn't work, but that is something I wanted to talk about today for the first episode. So like I said, I'm going to get a copy of all that information. I'll load it in the comments so you can take a look at the Indiana code. It's legal jargon. It's kind of boring, but it gives you enough information that you should understand what's on there. But like I said at the very beginning, this is going to be episode 1. I'm going to do this on a weekly basis. I'm going to save them after they go on here, and I'll allow them to exist on the page for all time. But I'd love to hear what you want to know about on this new show that I'm going to do called Real Talk Real Estate, Mondays at 5, and I'll go live at 5 every Monday. So you can tweet me at Aaron Luttrull. You can message me here on Facebook, or you can send me an email at aaron@theaaronadvantage.com, and I look forward to getting your questions and answering them here online. If at any time you want to just give me a shout, you can call me at 812-779-6273, and I'll take a look at all those questions as well. Hit me up. Let me know what you want to hear about.